There we go. Howdy, friends. I am Matt Shorty Wells. Welcome back to ShortyDoesLife.com. So this is a bonus interview here. So while at Rythmia, what has it been now, Eddie? Three weeks ago now? Yeah.
Yep.
Something like that. About three weeks ago.
Yeah.
So since being at Rythmia there, that last Saturday, I interviewed a few friends. There was one friend that I was chatting with about doing an interview on the blog because I know he had a lot of profound experiences that I was excited to bring to you and let you hear from. We never did it. We never sat down and did the interview. And then afterwards, we were both like, oh, yeah, we never did that. So we were picking up where we left off with a bonus interview. My brother, Eddie Wolfe. Eddie, welcome to the vlog, man.
Oh, well, hey, welcome or thanks.
So Eddie here. So Eddie, basically, I was just let's do the same thing we did with the other friends there. So I want you to introduce yourself to the blog. Tell us a little bit about what made you find your way to a crazy ayahuasca retreat. What were some of the things you wanted to get out of your time there? What did you get out of it? And anything on your heart to talk on? And I know you've got some really an interesting topic to share with us on a couple things on another membership.
So I'm Eddie Wolfe, and October 3rd, I will have 5 years in an AA program, a 12-step program.
Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to say, first of all, that the 12 steps has done and is doing what it's designed to do. I found myself the last couple of years losing some of my serenity, some of my peace, and so some old things. I kind of look for a lot of similarities from the program and from ayahuasca, and I'm seeing a lot of similarities. It's funny because I see a lot of the comments on our WhatsApp, and a lot of the language sounds like recovery language. You know, as far as talking about surrender and peace and boundaries and things along that line. So I was at the point that I don't want to say I was in relapse mode, but the last year or so, I just haven't been content with my life. And there's been a lot of just inner turmoil, you know, and I still work the program the way it's designed to be worked to the best of my ability. I still go to meetings. I still sponsor. I still help others. I still have a sponsor. I pray every day, you know, so I worked the program the way it's designed to be worked, but there was something that the 12 steps just wasn't enough, let's say.
Okay.
It got me free from the drugs and alcohol, and it definitely gave me a much spiritual, better way of life. Okay. But the steps are designed that, like, step 5 is to take a fearless and thorough inventory of yourself, and that's step 4. And then step 5 is to admit to God, yourself, and another human being the exact natures of your wrong. And that worked at first. The problem is, a lot of what I had underlying issues, I was unaware of. I don't know where it was coming from. I myself could not have done my early recovery without my psych meds. For depression and anxiety and things like that.
Helps you get stable, as they say, basically, right? That's what the meds are for.
Mentally stable, you know, and so I believe there's underlying issues of why alcoholics are alcoholics. For me, there was anyway. Some people have mental health issues because of their drug use and their alcohol use. Some people have their addiction because of their mental health issues, which was my case. So having said that, when I first started working the program, I got the spiritual enlightenment, the spiritual awakening, but then after a couple of years of being in a 12-step program and actively working, so on the meetings, actively working the program the way it's designed to be worked to the best of my ability, there was still something blocking me from what we call the sunlight of the spirit, blocking me from being happy and at peace. That's when I started about a year and a half, 2 years ago, looking into plant medicine.
Okay.
I'd come across that.
What was the appeal to the plant medicine originally from what you had seen? Was it because from what I'm hearing just on so far, the surface level activity has been addressed through the club? Did you say the name of the club that you were with?
It's a 12-step program.
Yeah.
It's autonomous. So
Yeah.
it's a 12-step program of recovery.
So the 12-step program really helps you with the surface level activity. You nixed that 5 years ago, but the underlying issue is what still needs to be solved.
Well, I would say the 12-step program helped me with what I was aware of.
Okay. Yep.
There were things that I was not aware of. I knew something was there. Something was blocking me from being at peace.
Right.
From the sunlight of the spirit, as we say in the rooms.
Yeah.
Something blocking me from having internal happiness.
And it was something you couldn't identify consciously, something you couldn't find. Yeah. Amen. Okay.
I knew that the 12 steps just wasn't enough for me anymore.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to say that anything's replaced the 12 steps because that was not the goal, and that's still not the goal.
I don't think the 12-step program even bills itself as a one-stop shop for all your ails in life, right? What nothing is, right? There's not one book to read from one author, right? There's many programs and many.
Well, actually, the 12 step, the Alcoholics Anonymous, is based off of one book, and it's all based off of Bill Wilson
Bible. Okay, right. But it's not the only process for a human to work, is what I was kind of getting at. Like
yeah, there's definitely a lot of literature in there in it. But like I said, it got to the point that what we call relapse mode is when you start getting unhappy with your life, okay, or you start getting unsatisfied, not with the program, but just the life I'm living. I have a great life. I have a great career that better than I could have ever prayed for. You know, I'm living a life way beyond anything I would have even prayed for or even deserved. But there was something missing. There was something underlying dark in me that I could not identify. I didn't know what it was. I just know that I had to do something, because I'm only going to be miserable so long before I pick back up. Before it's like, why am I even sober if I'm miserable? So, that's what kind of started me into investigating the plant medicine.
Okay, yeah.
There's pros and cons to that, because I had watched so many videos that I'm listening to these, going to the moon and seeing the universe. So I got all this in my head, like, okay, it's kind of these big expectations, and other had different plans. There was that need to be done inside me, you know, that it wasn't. And the best way I can describe that week at Rythmia is that it was the most intense, rewarding week of my life. You know, I'm only about a month out, but even now and even the people like my business partner, which I spend more time with him than anybody, and people in the rooms like, man, we really see a difference in you. You know, and because I feel different, I'm lighter, and I've changed some of my routine up since I've come back. I do a 20-30-minute meditation in the morning. I still do but that meditation, and I actually use the Spotify song list from Rythmia.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
So I do that in the morning, so I start my day off at peace.
You said you still do your breathing. You kind of cut out the audio, cut out for a second. Is that what you said? You still do meditation and breathing?
I do the meditation. I do some breath work if I start to get upset. I bring it back to the breath.
Do you use this?
I don't. I have. But yeah, it's phenomenal, the differences, and it's almost. I really want to be careful what I say, because I don't want to take nothing away from the 12 steps, because it's a great program. It saves a lot. Yeah. It really does, and it makes a tremendous difference in millions of people's lives across the world, and it has for 100 years coming up on. But like I said, with this, I almost feel like it's a 12-step program on steroids, or it's the next level.
The supplement to it, right? Yeah, it's an add-on. Yeah, it's not a replacement. It's different.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Not a replacement, but it kind of for me personally, it allowed me to go deeper into my soul, deeper into what things that I have suppressed my whole life, come to find out, you know. I've suppressed that I've been dragging around with me, you know, the darkness, the dark spots in my soul, the dark entities that was in me. I have suppressed all that because I had thought, okay, I've got past that. I'm working a program now. I'm clean. I'm sober. I got a good career. Life's great. So I thought, okay, I'm past all that. And it kind of come creeping back in. because it was never dealt with, because I was unaware of it. I suppressed it.
Right. Yep.
So,
So this was stuff that was on a subconscious level that you would not have been able to, or I don't want to say what we can't do, but it's not likely that you were anytime soon going to be addressing some of the things that you were able to address by finding the plant medicine. Correct? Is that a good way of saying it?
absolutely, yeah, because I wasn't aware of a lot of it. Like I said, I knew something was still keeping me from being at peace,
Mm-hmm.
from being spiritually connected, from the sunlight of the spirit, however you want to word it. Something was keeping me from sustaining peace, or
Mm-hmm.
I could, and the best way I can put it, when I first got in recovery, everything's new, everything's fresh, spiritual awakening. I got God involved in my life. So I was in the sunlight of the spirit. Every once in a while, a dark cloud would show up.
Mm-hmm.
And this last year, couple years, it's almost like I was starting to live under the dark cloud. And every once in a while, the clouds would open up and I would have the sunlight of the spirit come through, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it started getting darker and darker and darker again, as far as my spirituality, as far as my mental and emotional state, and I'm finding myself getting angrier quicker. Just not even caring, because I'm not happy. If I was, I was happy, but I didn't have serenity. If that,
Mm-hmm.
I have actual peace in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And, at least right now, like I said, I'm only a month out, but it is done. Rythmia, Rythmia and ayahuasca has done for me everything I needed it to do, everything I was hoping that it would do.
Mm.
Other than give me a trip to the universe or to the moon.
I relate. I feel the same way. I've been twice. I haven't been to the stars yet. I want to go to the stars.
But it definitely was a life-changing experience. Definitely a life-changing experience.
So what a lot of what I'm hearing is the combination of the two. It was your recipe, and it was the recipe for you, because you got a lot of you're walking into this with a lot of developed discipline, right? So a lot of the disciplines that you had garnered over your time with the 12-step program, walking into this, now you get this whole fresh cleansing, let's call this processing of things that you couldn't find and identify consciously. You were able to get into the medicine and really, and if you want to tell us, you had quite an experience. You had one of those hell experience nights there, right?
Yeah. Some of the guys I go with, or that I went with, they said I was the MVP.
Yeah, right.
To me, it was a to me, that's what I thought it was, because that's how I've always thought of it. And I distinctly remember being a teenager and having a conversation with this darkness in me, and coming to the agreement that I was gonna be the front man, and he was gonna be right behind me in case anger or had to hurt somebody, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And I had forgotten all about that, but that dark entity showed back up on that last night of ayahuasca. And I was, man, listen, I was so relieved that I was able to kind of, because my first thought was, I'm trying to banish this out of me. Get out of me. This is not your home. Leave me alone.
Right.
But I remember with what I was taught there and in classes, and what I was taught in Rythmia, is that I can't get rid of it, but I can give it light. I can show it love.
Right.
And that's what it took. That's what it took.
Wasn't it immediate? You said, I think you're telling me.
Huh?
Wasn't it immediate? Like once you started kind of vibing with it like that, like looking at it like with gratitude?
What? Yeah, and that's what it was. Because I'm literally, they had escorted me out, and they had a mattress sitting outside in the yard, and like, here, lay down, just I'm like, pack the up, you know what I mean? And so up, and they was at a comfortable distance, and you basically keep an eye on me, which was great. And I continue to just have a complete conversation with this demon, and it's like he wasn't going nowhere. They tell us in Rythmia, there's a split of who we are supposed to be and who we have to become to protect ourselves. And I was also told there that if that's the journey that you take, you will know exactly when your split happened.
Mhm.
For me, it happened in my mother's womb. The minute she found out that I was a boy and not a girl, she hated it. I was the third boy. She always wanted a girl.
Mhm.
So that kind of created the darkness. And so this dark entity had came into the world with me.
Right.
And it has served me in
Mhm.
many ways. It has protected me. It allowed me not to get hurt, but to hurt people when need be. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, so instead of like, get out of here, leave me alone, go away, I will no longer allow you in here. That was not an option, because this is as much his home as mine.
Right.
He was with me in the womb through my whole life. So and I know this is deep, but this is kind of my perspective of how it was.
Yeah.
And I had thanked him, and and I love you, and thank you for always being there from day one when nobody else was there. You were there.
Yeah.
You know, but I couldn't let him have that kind of power over me no more.
Right. Yeah.
So by shining light on him and showing him love
Mhm.
and gratitude,
Yeah.
genuinely, then I was able to not make that dark area so dark.
Yeah.
And then straight from there, and I'm begging him, please let me go, please, please, and I went from to coming to terms with that to reaching out to my father God and mother ayahuasca. And I was like, you help me, help
Mhm.
me, and what a profound experience. God just let me know, hey, I'm here to teach you how to be a man. I'm your father. I'm going to be here to teach you how to be a protector. But mother ayahuasca is comforting me,
Mhm.
and she wraps me in a warmth. She says, "You're safe, my love."
Mhm.
And she reassured me, you're safe, and this is not going to be easy. It's not
Mhm.
easy because you're not going to know what it's like to have a mother's love and a father's caring love, but we're right here with you, and we're going to get through this, and we're not going nowhere. Um, yeah. Oh, wait. It was just amazing. It was amazing.
Amen.
And what I can tell you after that is I went back into the head shaman lady, because I'm kind of shook. Like, this is, I'm in the yard having this conversation with my demon and God and Mother Ayahuasca. And so the medicine kind of wore off, and I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm not trying to go back to my room, but I don't know if I want to drink some more ayahuasca. So I go to the head shaman lady, and I'm like, well, have you ever seen that before? And she's like, oh yeah, that was a type. I'm like, well, what do I do? Do I go back to my room and process this? I'm a lot of anxiety and still a little bit of fear. I don't want it to come back. And she's like, no, that was your tiger. And you have basically fought your tiger. You have overcome it. You showed it love. So that tiger's not coming back. You got it out of you. So I said, well, what do you suggest I do? She said, well, drink some more. Drink some more,
Open bar.
I'm up dancing around everybody. You know what I mean? I'm up dancing and just overwhelmed with joy, so lightened up.
Yeah.
So over the moon that I got this dealt with. It's been in my whole life.
Yeah.
I believe a lot of that darkness is the reason that I was an addict, because my drugs, and I shot heroin for over 15 years.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, this wasn't just a 2-year stint. I was homeless for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So a lot of the reason I went down that path is because that was my solution.
Mhm.
The darkness in my soul, I just would numb myself up so I wouldn't have to feel all this hurt, all this anger, all this darkness, and I didn't know what else to do with it. So
Mhm.
I had to numb it up in order to stay alive.
Yep. I get that.
And then when I found recovery, I had really thought that I had overcome all that, but I didn't, because it started creeping back in, because it was never dealt with. It was never addressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me. So that's and to back up a little bit, the first thing that the mother did for me was had me I had massaged my whole body. Now you could imagine being a heroin addict and shooting dope for over 15 years, being a junkie. There's no area in my body that's reachable that I have not put a needle in.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You've become flexible, huh? Right.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is I was able to massage my feet and my ankles and my legs and give myself a full body massage while replaying in my head the times that I had hurt myself. Like times when I shot my feet, and I, I had apologized. And then I remember times when I shot my ankle, and I'm replaying this in my head throughout the years.
Nice.
And then Mother's like, well, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of ready to go to the next level. And she was like, no, let's make tonight about you loving you. So I apologized to myself and I forgave myself.
Wow.
And I done that piece by piece, apologizing to every part of my body, like, and remembering when I had penetrated. I mean, I still got the scars from the needles and all that, but remember times when my hand was swollen with needle marks, and you know what I mean, and all that, and being able to peace with that. And then the second night, the first night I felt nothing. That was the second night. The third night, we taught there that the energy kind of attaches itself to us.
Yeah.
So I am clearing the dark spots throughout my history, throughout my childhood, throughout my life, and I'm replaying this in my head. Mother's taking me by the hand, walking me through this, and I had something that was like right here, right under my heart, that was really dark. And like, okay, I've got a lot of the darkness from my history cleared out. I've showed it light, but what is stuck? What is right here that I'm not addressing, that I've suppressed so far that I don't even realize it's still there? And it was from when my dad passed away in 2000. That's really when my active addiction took off. That's and that's that. And here's the thing about that, Shorty, is that it from there I addressed it, and I realized what it was. I showed it some love and some light, and accepted it as part of who I am. But from there, I end up being with my dad and my brother and my niece and nephew in the spirit realm.
Nice.
Yeah. Now I just lost my brother, and that's his tattoo for him right there, and that was my dad's name. Dude. Okay. So here I am. I'm in the spirit realm. What most people, I guess, would call heaven. I don't know, but I am in contact, spending time with my dad, and he's like, hey, I'm proud of you. But how do you pull away from that? My dad's been passed away for 22 years. I've never actually processed it or mourned that, probably because I just started doing drugs and never looked back. Right. And I don't know how to pull away from this conversation with my dad, and for no more 10 seconds tops, probably 6 or 7 seconds, I'm laying in a hammock. I'm in the spirit realm with my family, my dad, brother, niece, and nephew, and I don't know how to pull away from that. And it rained for about 6 to 7 seconds, no more than 10 seconds, while I'm in that hammock. It didn't rain the whole night before and after. It rained everywhere else, because I'm like, oh man, it's starting to rain. So I looked up to see, and all of a sudden it just stopped. And I knew, I don't know how I know, but I knew that was my dad washing the hurt off of me. And he said, you know what? Go enjoy your journey, referring to my life, not my ayahuasca journey.
Right.
Go enjoying your journey.
Right.
When it's time for you to come home, we will be here and we'll be waiting to welcome you. And it's going to be a joyous time. Come on. Come on.
And that was Wednesday?
That was the Wednesday.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that was before. That's what opened up the door for you to really find that spirit in you, that split in you, that protector in you. That was
it was build up. So like I said, Tuesday was about Monday. I didn't feel anything. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I was a little upset. What I mean?
Shouldn't work.
A lot of negative out of it. Tuesday was about self-love. Thursday was about mourning my father.
Wednesday,
clearing myself of all this darkness that had attached itself to me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then that was Wednesday was that, and then Thursday I'm thinking, and they say, I go to the shaman. What's your intent? Well, listen, I put some work in this week. I've had a couple nights of miracles. So I would like for Mother to take me, to see me the universe or the moon or something. And about 20 minutes later, I was the first one to puke, and I'm still kind of laying out, first one to purge.
Right.
Quiet, and here I am in the corner growling, over, and he, hit me on the head, and you know, and doing what they do, you know, blessing me or praying something out of me. I don't know. And
Right.
but yeah, so it was kind of a build up to that. You know what I mean? That I guess that's the first night I just purged a lot out of me. Second night, self love. Third night, coming to terms with things that I had suppressed. And
Mhm.
fourth night, about dealing with that inner demon that's been with me my whole life.
Yeah.
Totally trying to just push away because I've been in recovery and I'm living a better life.
You went
So
through the steps. It sounds like the heal, because that's the heal the heart one. It sounds like that last night, that Thursday, that was the heal the heart that they talk about, right?
yeah,
Like, and that's the last step of that 3-step process of theirs.
I feel like that I had got it kind of all three of them, all three
Mhm.
nights,
Okay.
you know, tell me who I become. So, you know, I had become somebody that doesn't love himself. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Merged me back to my soul. So I apologized to myself and then healed my heart. So I was able to love myself.
Mhm.
And the following night, you know, who have I become? I become the person with dark entities, with all this darkness in my soul.
Mhm.
My father, my childhood trauma issues, all
Mhm.
the things that I was aware of that I've just suppressed. So that's who I had become, you know, and then merged me back to myself at all costs. You know, I once I cleared that, that was kind of merged me back to, you know, being in a better place. And then
Mhm.
heal my heart was like my father, you know, let's wash this dirt off of you, let's heal your heart, enjoy your life. We're right here when you come home.
Yeah.
Then again, on the, you know, the big major night, the
Just
same
loving
thing.
your stuff. Yeah.
This who
Yeah.
I become,
Yeah.
this dark entity that's
Yeah.
controlling,
Yeah.
you know.
And that was a shadow of you. It was a part of you, and that's that whole shadow work everybody talks about. You know, shadow, loving the shadow, loving all every parts of you. Because as long as you were going to fight that part of you, that was gonna. It was what you resist, persist. You know, kind of a thing. It was gonna. You were feeding it. You know what I mean? And then as soon as you loved it and it surrendered into it, that's what they
Yeah,
talk about. That's the whole. This is, you know what I mean? Like you did the thing they tell you to do, and it worked. Like how amazing, right? You know what I mean? Like they have it figured out over there at
yeah,
Rythmia, don't
yeah.
they?
Enough about Rhythmia. It was absolutely the best week of my life. You
Well,
know,
I'll tell you. So that Thursday night, I missed your hell part, the fight of it. I didn't see any of that. I may have been in my mat or whatever, but I remember first time I saw you because your bed mat was right across from my mat that
mm-hmm.
Thursday, and I remember I guess the sun was probably coming up. We were all coming alive, you know, kind of thing, coming into this 3D world or whatever. And I remember just looking over at you, and you were just so liberated. You were just like, you were as light as a feather. I hadn't seen you dancing yet the whole week we'd been. This is Thursday, you know, and you were flowing with the music. I was like, oh shit. And then finally, once we broke the sacred silence and we could all talk again and all of that, me and Chris were over there, you know, listening to hearing your story, and you were telling us. I was like, oh, that's when I was like, man, I need to get you on this and
Yeah,
give you an opportunity to share, because. And then when you started talking about the AA stuff too, and how that's tied in, I really wanted to get you on here as well, because I know that your story is valuable. It's gonna, I think you and I talked about this before, but I've really geeked out before going to Rythmia my first time on a lot of people's journals, like videos like what we're doing right now, people just accounting their story, telling why they went, what they got out of it, stuff like that. That's really encouraging stuff, and as many voices that we can get on the internet, and yours is a unique voice that is yours alone. I'm just wanted to make sure on my little platform that I've got here, I wanted to
yeah.
feature you as
Oh,
well.
and I feel uh, I wanted to do it not just to share my experience, but also for people in recovery, because I know, you know, I live in the recovery world. You know, that's where I live now. I live amongst the 12 steppers. You know, this is my life.
Yeah.
99% of what I do is recovery related. I'm either going to detox, talking to people, I'm sponsoring people, I'm going to.
Okay.
So I live my life by their code, by
Yeah.
the AA or 12-step
Mhm.
code. And I feel like that's why I really wanted to do this interview more than anything, is to kind of give people that's in recovery that might be struggling to say, you know what, it's not, because, you know, you got some people to say, well, you know, you went and done the plant medicine, you know, is that a relapse? Or you're gonna get a new 24-hour coin. And here's my thought is, one, I have a responsibility to myself to live the best life I can live. And the only way I can do that is be as much peace as I can be.
Yeah.
I have not and will not take nothing away from the program. I respect the program to the extent that when I'm called up to the podium, I do not bring Rythmia or ayahuasca into the conversation because it's a 12-step program.
Right.
The last thing I want to do is convince newcomers, hey, go to Rythmia and you ain't got to work 12 steps, because that's not.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I would have been a year or two, but I know now, coming up on 5 years in a couple of months of clean and sober, that I've got some skin in the game. You know, I've got a little time in.
Right.
Like, now what? What is it? What do I? And my awareness is up.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people in our WhatsApp, that's seeing things for the first time that I've seen for the last year. These are tools that I've got, that I've worked on my life, and I continue to use daily.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing to see these people, because it's like they're starting to realize, like, wow, I can set boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I am more in control than what I think of how my life goes. And I think Dr. Jeff had even told the guy who came with Sean, that we kind of got a little bit of a head start as 12 steppers, because we've already done a lot of self work.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a lot of internal work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, I know I have.
Yep.
And most people that work a solid program have.
And that's what I was touching on earlier with you. I mean, you came in with the discipline. You've had 5 years in that 12-step program walking into Rythmia. So you were able to really take that next level of processing and cleansing and touching things that you couldn't touch consciously, and then take from that back into your life to integrate that newly liberated self with those the disciplines you have.
Program.
Right.
Now, some people can work a 12-step program and that's enough for them. And there's a lot of people like that. They're content, they're happy, they're serene.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm just not that guy.
Right.
I just wasn't enough. It was for a little while, but then after a while, I still had to get down to my core issues. I started to get down to, why do I keep becoming more and more miserable for the longer I'm in recovery after a certain point?
Well, there's not one. I'm a personal development junkie, self-described personal development junkie. I walked on fire with Tony Robbins back in 2006. I love all of these personal growth and development things. I'm of the attitude the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. So, and the reason, so all of that, right? So all of that to say, I will never find a final course or a final program. So 12 steps is exactly what it's supposed to be for you in your life for certain things, but it's not the end all. So of course, like what you said, when you go to the podium at a 12-step meeting, you're not going to mention Rythmia. Well, that just like every other thing that you're not going to mention, there's a million other things that are all supplementing. Yeah. There's a million other books. There's a million other things that you've read, life experiences. So when you're there, of course, you're there to celebrate and shine on the value that this thing brings, right?
Message of the 12-step program. When I'm at a meeting, there to carry the message of a 12-step program.
Right. Yeah.
And not outside issues, not like, hey, I've done these psych meds, or I've went to Rythmia, or I've done too. I'm there to carry the message of the 12-step program, and I'm very vigilant about that. I make sure that I don't. And you could imagine, because I live out loud. Facebook knew I was coming to Rythmia the second that I booked the tickets. Because I live out loud, because that's just what it is. I feel like that I owned being an addict and a junkie. I didn't hide that. I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm in recovery. I'm constantly growing. And that's a good thing to bring up, because the more that I work on myself, the more I realize that it is a process. I'm never going to reach the goal. I've made it, but I'm going to constantly grow, constantly evolve. And when things come up that I need help on, then I'm going to be open-minded enough to try other ideas and say, hey, this has worked for them. I want to kind of get there. And and that's what led me out to Rythmia. Is that, working the program, wasting time to be work. What else can I do to try to find my place in this world? What else can I do to wake up and be in a great mood and be and feel happy and alive and spiritual every day? Obviously, you can't do it every minute of every day. Things are going to happen. But my daily walk, and that's important to me. My daily walk had changed to where I wasn't a happy person. or as happy as I wanted to be. I wasn't as at peace. I mean, I would put on, I would play the part, I'd put on my happy face for the homeowners, the customers, what I do. I mean, obviously,
Mhm.
um, and even out in the rooms, hey man, everything's good, but deep inside, it's like I'm not. Something's wrong. And
Mhm.
that's what led me into plant medicine.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is the same thing that led you in. So would you think, all right, we can cut some of these parts out of it here if you don't want this on the vlog here. So, but I want to ask you some questions. Tell me what you think of this. So, my thoughts with, and I'm an outsider with AA, right? I've never done it, never worked the program.
anything you want, I'm an open book.
So here's my thing with something like an AA or a 12-step program, is it's addressing the surface level activity, which is there's a problem on subconscious going on, and it's getting our attention with this activity. It could be a disease it could show up in our body as, or activity that's self-defeating, whatever it might be. But something like AA can help you address, nip in the bud the activity, right? So that's great. But now whatever that issue was doesn't have your attention the way that it did when it's caused, when it was, showing up. So now you had this, and I'll use your timeline as an example. You have years, and people have years worth of sobriety, but yet there's still an issue there. And a lot of it's the same issue that caused that surface level activity before. But until or unless you had found, in this case, plant medicine, that actual real issue wasn't solved by just eliminating the activity.
Well, I think you're referring to a core issue. But at your core is what we refer to it as.
Okay.
Again, some people just get spun out or become alcoholics, and so the program isn't as much. If you work the program correctly, it's my belief and it's my experience that it doesn't just keep me from doing drugs and alcohol, but it gives me a better quality of life, a life worth living. So, having said that, it's not as much about it's not as much about drugs and alcohol as it is a spiritual experience. It's just a program. They say they give AA is designed to give us a set of spiritual principles on which we live our lives. Okay. So for a lot of people, okay, that's what they need. They get a set of spiritual principles. They have what they call a psychic change or a new design for living. It's called many different things in AA in the big book. We call it the big book. Okay. So it's referred to in many different ways. So it is designed to give you a set of spiritual principles to live your life upon. So once you get to that point, once you complete the 12 steps, the 12 step being having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, then we carry the message to other alcoholics who still suffer. Okay. The steps are designed for three things. One, trust God, house, help others. Okay. 1 through 9 is the learning steps. 10, 11, and 12 are the living steps. So you learn the steps and you work through the steps 1 through 9. And then 10, 11, and 12 is designed just to do that you can daily trust God, clean the house. When we were wrong, we promptly admit it. Okay. And then 12 is help others, having had a spiritual awakening. So, and that's enough for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Spiritual principles on which to live your life.
So it is about finding the core issue then. It's not about just addressing the surface level activity, calling it a win because you stopped drinking or drugs kind of a thing. That's not, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't feel like a win to me within itself. And I'm not talking about your case. I'm just talking about in general. I understand that also. And I understand the argument too, though, that look, if we eliminate that behavior, then we have a better chance to start finding out what the hell the real problem is and all that. And I get that too.
Yeah.
So
a lot of us have core issues. A lot of people finding spiritual principles of the 12-step program, and they live happy, successful lives from there on out without picking up. Then there's people like me that has more core issues, that I don't, not just having a set of spiritual principles on which to live my life does not help me find peace, does not help me find the happiness that I seek. Or the motivation to get up and you know what I mean? Yeah. The 12 steps does for a lot of people what the 12 steps plus ayahuasca did for me.
Right, right. Yeah.
That makes not as
Yeah.
not alcoholic is of my caliber. You
Right.
know, 4 issues the 12 steps can't fix. The 12 steps help a lot of people, and they're living happy,
Yeah.
successful lives.
That's obvious. Yeah. I mean, they got they've had too much impact in the world helping
Yeah.
people find sobriety. And then that sets them up it opens up the door to so many more possibilities for them just by kicking the habits and free cleaning up their mind. I get that for sure. Yeah.
So it definitely, like I said, probably I really don't know any percentages, but for a lot of people, the 12 steps is enough.
Hmm. I think it sounds like anything else. It just depends on what, like y'all use like core cause, the underlying root issue, whatever. Depends on what that is as to whether or not that's going to be fully enough. But it's not a one size fits all. Like nothing is, not the plant medicine or anything in between, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the program thinks that the 12 steps is a one size fits all.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I judgment since I've been back. And honestly, my thought on is that I'm at peace. I'm winning, regardless of your opinion.
That's right.
Regardless of your opinion, I'm winning.
Yeah.
I could care less
Yeah.
that you don't think I work the program the way you think it should be worked.
That's right. And,
You know?
and the activity doesn't matter as much, or the action doesn't matter as much as the intention behind it. So yes, you went and drank a psychedelic. Why? That's important. The intention behind it is, you know what I mean? This was a soul searching therapeutic. The thing that brought you to the plant medicine is the exact same thing that brought you to AA and the 12 step in the first program. You know what I mean? So how could you damn the man for going to the plant medicine and celebrate him doing this when he was doing the same thing, just with a different tactic?
Well, and I agree with that. And I had a conversation with, with somebody at a meeting, which really helped me because she's like, you know what, your intentions. Because like I said, I live out loud. I don't. That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you put it out there. This is me. And she's like, it was obvious that your intentions was to deal with something that was, that you needed to deal with. The 12 steps wasn't take care of.
Yeah.
Because like I told them, if I wanted to get high, I could go across the street and get high.
Yeah, you don't need to go to Costa Rica for that.
Out of the country with a passport to justify a relapse. You know what I mean?
It's a pretty well thought out relapse.
Right. Well, I mean, I could, you know what I mean? I could, as far as relapse go. But that's the thing is that, and that made me feel good because it kind of showed me who is who in my life and who is who in the recovery rooms. Like I said, 95% of my life is people in recovery. Okay. When people send me Facebook requests, I don't even accept them unless I see they got a lot of people in recovery, because that's just the world I live in.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm really glad and I'm grateful that I come to Rythmia, because I'm kind of in this recovery AA bubble here, and so I'm able to kind of get outside of that and see some positive people. Because where I come from, you're either a junkie using or you're a junkie in recovery. You're either an addict, that's still in use, or you're an addict in recovery. And that's how I've built my whole world back in the last 5 years. So it was refreshing to be able to come down there and meet people from all over the world, different countries. And I'm still staying in touch. So I'm getting ready to go see Chavez, and not soon, but we're planning a trip next spring to go to France to see him.
Oh, to see Chavi?
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
so
no shit. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Trying to put that together now. I was going to go in the winter, but he said the winter's there as it is here. So I'm like, well, let's push it till the spring.
Oh, that's awesome.
But just to be able to get outside of my whole social environment here and have other people, you know what I mean? Like people like that. Me and him we really connected.
I'm jealous you're going to see Chavi. He's in the south of France. So he was telling, I'm going to go out there at some point. He told me he's got a spot for me as well. He's like, man, it's like postcards, picturesque you know what I mean? Sounds beautiful over there. God bless you. So you're going sooner than I am. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it here. It's on my list.
This year?
Yeah, within a year.
Okay.
A year.
Nice.
Probably spring. But it's nice to be able to come out and meet people that's, because sometimes I have a tendency to put my recovery foot forward. So, I'm in recovery, and I talk to you openly about it, that I kind of use that to identify who I am. unknowingly.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. And I honestly learned that from the guy that was from Florida, had a brother from I think New Jersey or New York, the big guys, that he was like, he's
Oh, yeah.
in recovery, but he doesn't go to meetings, and because he didn't like the idea of identifying as an alcoholic.
I couldn't. Yeah.
That's
That's all. I'm an outsider with it, but that's kind of been my issue with them as well.
yeah, and he said so. He's in recovery, but and I kind of struck home with me. I don't mind identifying as being in recovery because it's who I am.
Part of your story. You're not embarrassed of your story, as you shouldn't be.
Carry that sign around with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't have to carry that around so that people know, hey, I'm in recovery.
Right.
And it's about breaking out. It's about living my life. It's about moving forward and not being tied to my addiction, be it in recovery or in active addiction. Right. Not being. I'm proud of what I've done and my accomplishments, but I'm so used to the world I live in that we hang our hat on that. Mm-hmm. I have X amount of time in recovery. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And we hang our hat on that, and it was refreshing to be around people that wasn't the theme of everybody there. Mm-hmm. Because my whole life is involved in recovery. Is involved in recovery one way or another. Mm-hmm. I'm going on this weekend and it's a recovery event. Right. So it was refreshing to say, you know what, I can kind of break that chain a little bit, mm-hmm. Or not even break the chain, but still work my program, but not have to be so, this is what I am, this is what I've overcame. You know what I mean? It's be me.
Yeah.
Just be.
Well, on the in being a recovery thing, what are your thoughts on this? Because there's double-edged sword. There's pros and cons to both sides, and I get this, but the idea of being in recovery perpetuates being in an addict in recovery, right? Now, after the experience that you had at Rythmia, I would suggest you're recovered, right? Potentially, right? You're recovered. Now, I know from what I understand, I don't say I know this, but from what I understand, the 12-step programs don't really want you to ever feel like you are recovered, because that could be a slippery slope to make you think. Like, perfect example, I quit smoking last year, cigarettes in Rythmia last year. Gave him the grandfather fire, came home, I was done with cigarettes. I was not even an issue. The little trigger points throughout the day, not an issue. That was the last week of July last year, all the way through to the holidays, something like 6-7 months, not an issue. I got cocky about my fact that I was recovered, right? I'm a non-smoker, and my family in town, and I smoked with them while they were here. And next thing I know, when they're gone, I got my own pack of cigarettes. Son of a bitch, how the fuck did this happen, right? Yeah. So I get the idea of saying I'm recovered can be a slippery slope, just as an example that I just gave right there, right? But at the same time, too, the double-edged sword of that is, if I'm always in recovery, I get you need to always keep your guard up, I guess, is an idea. I don't know, but there's a.
Here's the thing is, and I'll say this, people say, well, you're recovered, you're no longer I say junkie, you know what I mean? Because you're no longer a junkie. And when I go to detox, the way I explain to them new guys, because they're fresh off the street trying to get clean and sober, lest I never forget that I'm a junkie. Mm-hmm. I'm either an addict in recovery or active addiction, because there is no middle ground. I can't have that one cigarette when my family comes in town, because then I'm going to start smoking again. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can't say, hey, I'm recovered, I can go do a line of coke. Right. And you have a couple beers, because it changes the whole trajectory of my life. Yeah, right. So that's the concept behind that. It's not like we don't want you to ever feel like you're not recovered. We say we're in recovery because it is a battle every day.
Keep your guard up to it.
And after years of people drinking, or in my case, that many years of doing hardcore drugs, some days it'd be really nice to tie one on, and kick it for a night or the weekend, and then shut her down and go back to work Monday. But that's not how it happens for us that actually suffer from the disease of addiction. And we can disease. Yeah. So we have to keep our guard up. Yeah. As soon as I think I'm recovered, I might lie to myself or believe the lie that I can go ahead and put one in me, because so I can go ahead and fill it one time, shut it off, and go back to work. And that's not the case. We burn our lives down. Right. We burn our lives down. Some people say, man, I partied on Monday. Well, I partied till I'm homeless and strung out and flying. You know what I mean? Yeah. step of that. And it's the same thing you experience, like with the cigarettes.
Mhm.
You know, man, I'm not a smoker, but I can smoke one
Right.
and
So,
one and
yeah.
two.
Yep.
You know, you're like shit.
Yep.
You know, put it back on the plate for Rythmia to help me take care of
Yep. Yep.
it, boss. You know, it's the same thing, but
Yeah.
at a much more costly
Mhm.
extent
Yep.
with us. Because right now I bury so many people, so
Mhm.
many that you got 5 years in recovery, 10 years in recovery, and they think they're cured. They
Yeah.
think they're covered. And next thing you know, I'm hugging their kids at their funeral
Right. Yeah.
or their parents, you know. So that's why it's so important for me. Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, I first quit going to meetings. And so they'll, you know, everybody's different, but some people think you don't go to meetings, you're going to go back out. That's not the case. I've met so many people, friends, we call them friends of Bill W. Because Bill Wilson is the founder of AA.
Okay.
You know, yeah, I'm a friend of Bill W's. So you know they're Alcoholics Anonymous without
Oh,
everybody
shoot. Okay. Right. Where we wouldn't know that. Right. It's a, okay.
know exactly what it is. Um, and I've met him and say, oh, you know what? And you know, but I haven't been to a meeting in 8 years. But man, that really changed my life. You know what I mean? And they're still living successful lives and maybe not going to the meetings, you know what I mean? But honestly, when it comes to carrying the message of that, we want to convince the newcomer, you need to go to these meetings because that's when you need them the most. You need to be around positive people. You need to believe and have a little bit of hope that your life can get better.
Right.
And then you got to be around people that's going to help guide you to that.
Mhm.
But to be honest with you, if I never went to a meeting again, I don't believe that I would pick up because of that. Because
Right.
I work a spiritual program, you
Mhm.
know, and I'm in conscious contact with my higher power, you know. So I pray every day before I leave, and I talk to my God throughout the day. Now I talk to my God and mother. I got two,
Right. You got a Mother Nature now, right? Yeah.
yeah, but throughout the day.
Right.
So that's I work a spiritual program. But when people first come in, we're looking for shortcuts. You
Mhm.
know what? So how can I get around doing steps? How can I get around not going to meetings? And you know what I mean? Because we lie to ourselves and think, you know, I got this. I'm just gonna quit getting high. Well, the problem is you wake up 15 years later like me and say, where did the last 15 years of my life go?
Mhm.
In an abandoned garage, you know, that's the problem. And so while we got them buying into the fact that your life can be better, we want you to dive into the program
Mhm.
because we want you to improve your life. And it's not going to happen overnight. But the more you start being around people that's in recovery, the more you start learning these spiritual principles and start living them, the more your life's going to change.
Mhm.
You know, so that's what it is basically about that. I know I went a little long winded on that, but that's just me.
No, that's why. Yeah. No.
I said I'm never going to be recovered because the second I think I'm recovered, I'm going to believe the fact that I can go have a drink
Yeah.
and to the crack house and not leave me to what I really wanted, a shot of dope in my own. You know,
Yeah.
I already know.
That makes sense. Yeah. And I think maybe it's my, yeah, arrogance, I'll call it, that makes me want to think that, you know, I can quit smoking. Oh, I'm done. You know what I mean? And then I can
Yeah.
get it's an arrogance that makes me think that I can have one.
Things just on a bigger scale. There's more at stake. You,
Mhm. Right.
you going back to smoking. Now, can you imagine if I went back to shooting up?
Right.
How different life be?
Right. Yeah.
We obsess over. We have an obsessive. It's a twofold disease: a physical allergy and a mental obsession. And once that obsession is set off, I cannot do nothing to stop it. I don't stop till I'm stopped. Be
Right.
it in jail, be it in detox, be it in the grave.
Right.
You know, I've seen all three, you know, from people throughout the program.
Right.
But once I set that obsession loose, you know, I used to say I got the beast in a cage. But I come to the realization actually at Rythmia that I don't have shit in the cage. I escaped the cage that the beast had me in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's actually what changed my tattoo idea because I was gonna get a beast coming out of a cage. And then I had that realization, like I ain't got shit cage.
Right.
I ate the cage it had me in,
Yeah.
you know, and it's stunning, baffling, powerful. It
Yeah.
was like, come on, you can have a drink. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? One drink, who's gonna know? And next thing you know, it's 3, 4, 5 years later, if you make it back, and you're strung out, and you're shooting dope and smoking crack. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't ever want to accept the fact that I'm recovered ever.
Yeah. I get
I
it.
keep that in mind that I'm in recovery, because as soon as I think I'm recovered, I think I can do something that is going to totally life, and I'm going to regret.
And and when it's so hard to sober up, it's the last thing you want to do is have to go through that again. And I mean, because then it takes a lot too to get to the point to muster up all of that energy that's needed to go through that again.
It takes a perfect storm, and I can attest to that. My personal experience. And people call me all the time. Hey, will you talk to my son? Will you talk to my nephew? Will you talk to my daughter? They're on drugs, and I say I can talk to them, but keep this in mind: we're not ready till we're ready.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's just what it is. You can't pray them, reason, beg, none of that. Sympathize. You cannot do nothing to make an addict want to get ready until they make the decision that I don't want to live like this anymore, and I need help.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the starting point. That's the seed, and that's why I try to plant the seed. I see guys a lot up in Columbus. There's a lot of corners where people are flying signs, and I always say my dollar isn't free. I'm gonna plant that seed. And I keep the dollar in my hand. I never give it to them first, because then I don't want to listen to you. But if you hold that dollar right there, now, I've been shooting. I've shot dope for over 15 years. I've strung out for 20. And I'm driving this truck and living this life. It's possible. So here's the dollar, and here's my business card. Don't call me for anything else except when you're ready to change your life and you need help, and I will get you somewhere. Best I can do. I can't. There's nothing I'm going to say on that street corner. But you know what? Maybe that guy hears that right when he needs to hear it. Maybe he's gonna call me like, dude, I've always kept this card, and I know, and I need help.
Yeah.
Where you at? And it's so rewarding too, because I go to detox every week, and I see different guys in there every Monday, and I get so many guys come up to me in meetings like, hey man, hey, remember me? And I'm like, no, because I see different guys every week.
Right.
Years of drug use, but they're like, man, you come in a detox and talk, man. That really resonated, and that really helped me decide, rather than go back to the street, I went to a program because of what you said. Amazing. Man, I'm glad you're here, Bubby. You know what I mean? Take my number. Let's hit some meetings. You know what I mean? That's the juice.
That's awesome.
It's for squeeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Amen. So I do love the fact that I'm in recovery. I'm trying to get away from having to, wear that recovery hat all the time, but I'm so used to wearing it. I come to Rythmia, and people like asking questions, and I say, why do I even volunteer that? I just feel the need to volunteer that information about myself, when really most people, it's never even entered their mind. You know what I mean? You're either a good person doing the right thing, or you're not.
Well, like you say, though, most of your social world here as of late has been in that, though. So it's a big part of your, that's like people, hey, tell me about yourself or whatever. They tell you about their job, right? It's the same attitude, like that. You're so much more than the job you have. You're so much more than that is a component of you. This is a very personal, very close to you, very significant, meaning leaving a signature on your life story, very significant in your life, a significant part of you, but it is still but a part of you,
Yeah. That's well.
You acknowledge that more.
Tell me about yourself. That's the first thing I mentioned is, well, I'm in recovery, because that's the big thing in my life. You know what I mean? That's but I do kind of want to get away from that. Like, hey, I'm a roofing contractor, and this is what I do, and this is the areas that I want to grow in. But it's nothing that it's not really that serious. But being around people that's a group of people that's not in recovery or doesn't know anything about recovery, there's no need for me to bring that up and say, hey, I'm a junkie.
I guess.
Really did help out a couple people. You know what I mean? Like talking about Chavez. I can never say his name right. The guy in France.
Xavi. Yeah, it's like Javier. It's like HXAV, but XAVI is Chavi. I know it doesn't sound like.
I had a moment, because he come up and he's like, there, and he's like, man, I don't feel like I fit in here. And I'm like, listen, bro, you know, I'm a freaking junkie in recovery. You know what I mean? I don't. You think I belong here? You know? I said, well, really, none of us do. We just get in where we fit in. But it was a great moment because it made him feel more accepted. You know what? Because we was close like that, even though we was only there a week together. We come home, we sit off this. We was one of the few people who was smoking cigarettes all the time. So we spent a lot of.
Yeah, you
And he come up and he was. You could tell he was in turmoil. Like, what's up? He said, man, I think I might leave. And what's up? He said, I don't belong here, man. These people, and you know, this isn't who I am. And I'm like, bro, listen, you're here for you, man. Same as me. You think I belong here? Hell, 5.5 years ago, I'm walking around looking for a half cigarette butt so I can have a fucking cigarette. You know what I mean? And he started laughing, but I think it made me feel more at ease. Like, you know, you belong here with me then, bro. You know what I mean? More than you do. You know, and I think that kind of helped him feel more comfortable, and it kind of made me and him closer too. That we bonded. You know what I mean? Instead, like, you know, co-signing this bullshit.
Right.
Man, this, you know, probably most of the people here felt like that, which a lot of us do. Not Rythmia per se, but anyway, you're in a group of people, you kind of feel outcast. Like, man, this kind of really isn't my scene until you get to know people and you feel more comfortable with it. You know, that's just life in general.
Yeah, it's very common. Yeah.
You don't know everybody, but I was able to kind of walk them through that. You know what I mean? To say, you look at me, and you know, I don't give a shit what any of these guys think. I'm here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think that's always admired in my book. Is I don't care what you think. I'm going to be me. I'm here.
The best of it, you know. We spend a lot of money to come here and get the help we need.
I can trust that human. The human that says I don't really care, and you can tell they really don't care what you think about them. I can trust that human. You know what I mean?
Well, we all do to an extent, but everybody wants to be that person. I don't care what anybody thinks, but we all kind of do. But I choose. You know what I mean? If somebody doesn't like me, then that's their problem.
Right. Yeah. Can't care too much. You can care in general, you know.
And that's a lot of things that I tell them guys in detoxes. You know, a beautiful gift that I got from AA is I really don't care what anybody thinks about me because that's none of my business.
Yeah. Right.
But what is my business is my daily walk. Where's Eddie today? How's Eddie feeling today? What am I doing to help others? What am I doing to make the world a better place? That is my business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what people think about me is none of my business because I don't care to appease them. I'm going to be the best version of me I can be.
Yeah. Right.
I wasn't able to do that with the things I was dragging around with me, and Rythmia helped me out with that. Rythmia, ayahuasca, really Rythmia, the whole thing.
Yeah. It is more than the ayahuasca. I mean, obviously the ayahuasca is a central part of the Rythmia program, but Rythmia is more than just the ayahuasca drink for sure.
It's amazing, just the whole vibe, man.
Yeah.
The vibe.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, Sean I came with, he did the first night of ayahuasca and didn't do it any other night.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew he had missed the Yahe night.
Yeah, he did the first night. Well, and for him, he said he felt like he got what he needed for one. For two, he was sitting out by the fire and he felt like it was a heroin knot. And he's in recovery too. Okay. I won't say his last name, but he's in recovery too. And he said he kind of felt like it was a heroin knot, and that made him very uncomfortable.
Yeah, understandable.
And the next day he got up and he said, he's friends with Joey Gramati. That's how we ended up out there. And Joey had got him with the doctor out there. What was the doctor's name?
Dr. Jeff?
Yes, Dr. Jeff. So that he's the one, he said he went and talked to Dr. Jeff and was like explained to him, like, you know, you people in recovery, you've already done some self work. You might not, you know, take another night off. Because Sean got up like, I'm going to pack it. I'm going to get a flight home. Because you're in recovery. He's got 10 years of recovery. That's a very uncomfortable feeling.
Sure.
Yeah. A heroin night, that's a very uncomfortable. I'm ready to go home.
Right. Yeah.
And I told him, I said, dude, if you leave me here, I'm whooping your ass. You know what I mean?
We came here together, damn it.
Yeah, because he originally, Gramati was trying to get him to come. And he said, man, I've been trying for years to get Sean to come. So, and I called Sean because Sean introduced me and Grimati. And so I text him like, dude, quit being a pussy, and let's go have a spiritual experience in another country. So I end up coming. So, but he's so glad because we had a room together. He's like, man, I'm so glad that I stayed, because even after one night of ayahuasca experiencing that, he still had his miracle because of the things that it showed him. But by being there the rest of the week, it really lightened him up spiritually.
He kept going to the classes after that and all that.
Yeah, he kept going to classes, and he's worked the whole Rythmia program without the ayahuasca.
Right.
And and by the end of the week, he's like, man, I'm so glad I stayed.
That's awesome.
So glad that Joey had me go talk to Dr. Jeff. He said, man, I don't ever remember. He said, I haven't felt this good or this spiritual since my first month in recovery.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool too, because that shows you it's more than just the ayahuasca. Now, he did have the ayahuasca Monday, and who knows what he got out of that. I mean, I'm sure he got some good stuff out of the Monday.
Yeah, he did. That whole kind of tricky day when the days when he was using, you know what I mean? Sitting out by campfire, nodding out. You know, he was resisting it a little bit too, I think, you know, but still, but he decided, he made the choice to go ahead and stay.
Yeah. Oh, good.
What it was me, you know, Dr. Jeff, for whatever reason, he made the personal choice to go ahead and stay. And he's, by the end of the week, he's like, man, I'm so glad I stayed.
Yeah.
So much, because, you know, he thought, I'm not going to do the ayahuasca. Why am I even here?
Right.
And he learned by being there that, you know what, this is really so beneficial. My God, just a peace to walk out of there. But we didn't even need tickets home. We could have flew. We were so light. Up, it's like, you know, and it was cool to get to experience that with him. And we still, he works with me, or he owns the company, and I sub off of it. But we're really great friends, and we're still keeping each other accountable. You know, hey, what are you doing? You know, you've been meditating, and you know what I mean. And it's kind of cool to have that. You know, on my own, regardless. But I have talked to him, you know, and it's so cool to have that. He's waiting for an ice plunge thing to be delivered.
Oh, is he doing that? Yeah. Nice.
First invite, bro. Kind of share that. Matter of fact, right before we started the Zoom meeting, we was talking. He said, man, I got something I can already talk to you about. Let me call you right back. I'm like, I'm going to do this Zoom meeting. I'll call you back when it's done. But that's because we spent that time together in Rythmia.
Yeah.
You know, man, I tell you what, I never knew a place like that existed. I've always studied up on the ayahuasca part of it, but really always is wow.
Yeah, it really is world class.
Best week of my life.
Amen. And it's got a life. I can tell it's an event that has its signature on the balance of your life. It's left its signature on your life, that Rythmia week.
If people was to say, what's some things that really has changed your life or decisions you made, Rythmia would be up there.
Yeah.
It would definitely be up there. I have three things that has changed my life, the trajectory of my life. One was choosing to get in recovery. The second was when I had that weight loss surgery because I was obese and I was able to lose a bunch of weight. And then going to Rythmia.
Okay.
You know, these are three life-changing decisions that has changed my life tremendously. Changed it to, you know, now, granted, it's only been a month since I've been out of Rythmia. So I want to see in 6 months how I feel, and I'm sure I feel the same way.
Yeah.
But I want to be, because I looked at like this weight loss surgery. Yeah, I'm so happy with it because I'm still down 130 pounds.
Right.
You know, right. I'm happy with the decision of 12 steps because I'm still sober and I'm still living a productive life.
Right.
And right now, I'm definitely happy with Rythmia because I'm at peace. I have a life worth living now. Not that I didn't before, but
you're more aware of it now, huh?
Yeah, I'm walking around on a different person. I'm a different. I'm not walking around on edge and you know, and you know, and I'm just let shit roll off. Just roll it off, shoulders off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it definitely has done everything I needed it to do.
Yeah. God bless you.
And I knew going in, and I was already well I've been told the more you struggle, the more you resist, the more you suffer.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to suffer until you don't.
Yeah.
So I knew all these, and I'm real big on catchphrases because of my 12-step program. So I'm hearing this, and these are things I'm putting into my mind as I'm going into the ayahuasca experience.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I need to surrender and trust that Mother's going to take me where I need to go, not where I want to go, but trust that she has best interest in mind, and she's going to show me things that I need to see in order to be a better person.
Yeah.
In order to lighten my, to improve my life and to get to my core issues. So that helped out a lot too, that I didn't really resist.
That's
I
key.
just, wherever you're going to take me, then take me. I'm trusting that it's going to pay the end. And
I think that's a big key to the whole, well, any process really is trusting the process, but especially with something like this, is not persisting and resisting, but leaning into whatever it is. They tell you at Rythmia, what's coming is going. And the idea is whatever energies or emotions or ideas that are coming up, anything that's a knee jerk, oh, you want to turn away or whatever, that's the shit you've been suppressing. Let it come up. Now's the time. That which is coming is going. You're processing it and releasing it. Otherwise, you're stuffing it and keeping it.
Yeah, that's well put. And I think it helped me, like I said, just leaning into it and saying, instead of like, oh, I don't want to feel this, and I don't want to think about my dad. I don't want to think about it. It hurts too bad. And just feeling it and going and knowing this is what I need to heal.
Yeah.
I need to address this to heal, because it's not going to go away. It's always going to be there unless I let it come through and go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I think that helped me out tremendously too, is that I come in with this surrender mentality.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just whatever, Mother, whatever you think needs to happen. You know what I mean? And and I'm gonna tell you what, I got so much more out of that fourth night in the yard fighting my demon than I got out of going to the universe or the moon.
Amen. Yep. We thought we wanted the sacred geometry and the astrological field trip, but what we really wanted was the thing that we went there for and that we got.
What I needed was everything was internal.
Yeah.
Everything was internal, And I had, like I said, I thought I had it all dealt with. And now, it was a buildup. I think it was preparing me for the finale that last night, like, because that popped off the first half hour. You know what I mean?
I wonder how I missed that. You were right there. Your mat was right across from mine. I don't know.
A lot of people say, "Oh my God, you don't remember me?" I said, "I need help going to the bathroom." You know what I mean? Because I knew how to get something out of me, but I didn't have to go to the bathroom. I got to sit me in the chair. And then next thing I know, I'm just like, and the head is over, and he goes to lift my shirt to do that mist on me, and I pulled my shirt off, like, yeah, get this motherfucker out of me. And it was a lot of people afterwards like, good Lord, you okay? I come out the next morning when we could talk, and he's like, he hugged me and he's like, dude, I was so scared for you.
Who said this?
Chavez. Yeah, he come out and he was, you could tell he's like, dude, I was so scared for you. He's like, are you okay? And I'm like,
yeah, it's hilarious. I missed all that. I don't know.
It was in your experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I must have.
Well, it was right toward the beginning. So, you might have been, when you first take it, you kind of just fall out. And you won't stay until you start purging. And that could have been it too,
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? I started the Ahe night with 2 cups. So
The last night, the Thursday night.
Then the night before that as well. But then that night too, I started with the Ahe. I started with 2 cups.
A double up,
I did. I took the shot and I handed the glass right back to the shaman. He was like, eh? I did it. I did it last night. I'm not new. Cool.
Well, I don't need that one. As a matter of fact, when I went to get more after talking to the female shaman, he only filled it like halfway, like, here, bro.
Well, my second cup, when I say I started with 2 cups, he only gave me half a cup on the second cup, but it was literally, I shot it and handed it right back to him. So
yeah. And I remember thinking him in the mornings, especially thinking that female shaman, because she ran it like a couple of nights, but she wasn't the one running last night.
Right.
For her saying, drink some more. Because I couldn't imagine if I went back to my room after having that traumatic experience of dealing with that demon I was overwhelmed. I was shook.
Right.
I happened to go to my room and kind of relive that in my head and like, oh, what happened? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be able to release it and enjoy the rest of the night.
To have that next shot after wrestling that demon, to take another shot and then to kind of really vibe with that, knowing that that's released, that's behind you. And that conversation, Valeska, that's the shaman lady there. And having her tell you, no, that fight with the tiger, that's over.
Yeah. That made a difference, you know.
Because that was the concern, right? That was your concern with taking another shot. You're like, hey, I'm sobered up now, but if taking another shot's going to go back in with that, I don't know if I want to fight with him anymore.
I don't want to experience that again. You know what I mean? Not knowing that you put my mind at ease. Like I said, that was your tiger. You got it out. You know, the tiger isn't coming back. You know,
right?
So that's kind of how she put it. You know what I mean? Because if I don't want, what happens if that happens again? You know, I mean, I don't want.
It's exhausting.
I'll quit me and my demon, and and that was my true moment of surrender when I was out there. And I'm begging him, please let me go, please. And I'm just full blown tears and just begging it, please go away, please. And then I remembered my teachings at Rythmia. They said, put some light on it. There's so much power, you know what I mean? So, but that was a big event, in my mind. I mean, there's really no concept of time when you're going through your experience.
Right.
In my mind, I was out there probably an hour, because I'm literally on the ground, on my hands and knees, and I'm praying to Mother and to God, and I'm talking to the demon. I'm like, and then once the medicine wore off, that's when it was like, I sit out there and I smoked a couple cigarettes, like, what do I do, man? You know what I mean? I'm trying to, and they say, you got to think, drink. I'm like, fuck that. I just went through this shit, and I went and talked to her, and that was very helpful. Because it was to realize that was released, and it don't need to be a fear, and I had the best night after that. Like I said, I drank another shot, and then, 45 minutes, an hour later, I'm up dancing around. Matter of fact, I got too close to the blessing circle, where they do
the table in the middle.
Well, where they sit all the guys at on the fourth one, and they go.
Oh, they were still doing. Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, this was early in the evening. It's like first hour and a half, or 2 hours. One of the workers come and say, "Hey, come here, buddy. You're doing too much. You want me back to my bed." He said, "You can dance, but just not up on the circle. I'm here. It's good." And he's, no, come here, dude. You can't do all that.
You were liberated by that point.
I'm so lightened up. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna bless everybody with a dance. Everybody's saying, around dancing, hey, God is good. Mother's here. In my head, because we can't talk. And then finally, he's like, dude, no, come here. You can dance by your bed, bro, but you can't be doing all this extra. Good. Thanks.
Too early, man. Too early.
Right.
Eddie, this has been fun, man. Thank you for showing up on the blog. Any closing notes or anything on the episode you'd like to add, or any thoughts?
If I wanted to close with anything, I guess is the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous really works, but there's things that you can add to it if you need to be. And if people are struggling, and give it a fair chance, give the 12 steps a fair chance. And if you're still struggling a couple, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, and you feel like it's not enough, then don't be afraid to check out plant medicine. Don't be afraid to look outside of the 12-step program to get the help that you need.
In addition to, and the 12 step obviously worked for you.
Yeah, right. I do the 12 steps, and then I put this also in my arsenal of things that I needed to be a better man, to be at peace. I would much rather see somebody in a 12-step program try plant medicine than to say, to hell with it, this isn't working, I'm going to get high and have to bury another member. Is how I look at it, So yeah, I guess that's my closing statement.
A great message, Eddie. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your voice and your experience with us here and with anybody here that comes across this off into the future. It's a valuable experience, and your sharing with it has been really beautiful. I thank you very much for coming on.
We finally got around the interview. So
Amen.
I'm sure we'll we stay in touch.
Oh, you and I will be in touch for sure. Don't go anywhere here. I'm gonna sign them off real quick. Folks, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time and interest. And there's an opt-in box, I gotta say, below this episode. Check out the blog here at Shorty Does Life. There is I don't even know, 5, 8, 10, about 10 different people's experiences from Rythmia and ayahuasca on this blog site. Check us out. Subscribe for more. Appreciate your time. Namaste, motherfuckers. I meant to say, do not forget, I want to tell you below this episode as well is a link to Eddie's YouTube channel. Eddie was vlogging. You were vlogging at Rythmia there, what, like every day that we were there?
Yeah. Video journal and a video diary every day while I was there.
Yeah. That needs to be linked below as well, because if you got value from some of the story that he shared of his Rythmia experience, check out his YouTube channel below, because he vlogged every day, like right after class kind of thing. And
right after.
What is your thoughts on this, by the way? So I had thought about doing some vlogs after ceremony kind of a thing, like the first night, but I never did any like what you did. But I noticed you started your channel just because of it, huh? What was the thought process behind starting that?
I did the recordings on my phone, and then on my way home at the airport, I actually opened a YouTube channel. Okay. So the only thing was on there is my ayahuasca videos or my Rythmia videos. And then of course,
And then of course, what? I cut you off.
And then of course this
okay.
Yeah, and the reason that I've done that is because I had so many people that say, "Oh, I can't wait till when you get back to tell us what it was like." So, and it was suggested that I do some journaling before I went. Yeah. I don't write a lot. So I thought, why not do a video journal? And then as people was asking me, I just send them my YouTube link. Yeah. Watch you can see in the moment right after. Yeah. Way more than I can explain it to. Yeah. You know. So it's been beneficial for that. And I've got it as a record. It's like instead of reading back through my journal, I can go back and watch my videos. Yeah. And live the moments and kind of see, And I was if you've seen him, I tried to be as candid and as raw as I can be, because that's the only way I know how to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I kind of cringe because I'm a little repetitive, but at the same time, if people want to see where I was really at mentally, spiritually, directly, as soon as I left the ayahuasca, wherever the ayahuasca room, and went back to my room, before I even went in my room, a lot of times I would sit down right then and do a video while I'm still in the moment as possible. Yeah. Right after, kind of get the real vibe for where I'm at.
I think that's brilliant. I thought about doing it, but I didn't want to put the energy into it. So I didn't. But I think that's brilliant that you did, especially being your first time, as well. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.